Let's hit record. Are we recording?
We're recording.
We're recording.
I hit record.
So, Mark.
So, Brian?
A Salesforce admin, a business analyst,
Oh,
and
God.
a developer
No,
walk into a bar.
No. You did this joke yesterday, and it wasn't funny yesterday.
I did?
Yes. The punchline was that it's Dreamforce.
Oh. Okay, how about
Again.
this? A Salesforce admin, a business analyst, and a developer get into an Uber.
Brian?
What?
No.
Well, oh, come on.
No.
Please?
No.
Fine.
Just start the show.
Well, that was the start of the show.
Finish starting the show.
How do I finish starting the show?
By starting the next segment.
Oh, is that how podcasts work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Brian Kwong. I'm also known as the Salesforce Wizard, and I'm joined by...
Mark Ross, Salesforce Yoda, and welcome to Music from the Hearts of Space.
No, Mark, that's
wrong
not the
podcast.
intro.
Wrong cast. Sorry. All right.
I gave you a script for a purpose.
You did, but how often do I stick to the script, Brian?
You never read the script.
Well, there is that. That explains why I don't stick to the script.
This is why we can't have nice things, Mark.
You sure it's not the tall, pointy hat?
No,
that you
because
always wear?
the tall pointy hat is a nice thing.
Oh,
I get lots of compliments on it.
We're going to agree to disagree on that. Of course, I
think
can't
you're
speak.
just jealous.
I just spilled a lot of...
Yoda! Yoda just fell off the table.
It's a disaster.
You know,
I could also use some paper towels up here, please, if anybody has some. Yes, please. Napkins, something. We've had a little bit of a water spill.
that awful. That poor Yoda.
That's on me.
Poor Yoda.
Did not hit anything of importance, though.
Yeah, and
Just my clothes. Thank you very much. And it's live. This is being recorded.
it's being recorded?
You told me to hit the record.
And blissfully faded out by moving the laptop away from the microphone.
That's right. And next year, we'll have Coheed and Cambria do the alt-prog rock version.
I don't get that joke.
Do you not know who Coheed and Cambria are?
No.
Then that's your problem.
Anyways, Mark, I am very scared today.
Why are you scared?
It is episode 13, and you know what that means.
Are you like superstitious or something about the number 13?
What? No. I'm just a Stevie Wonder fan. I don't find it very superstitious at all.
Then why are you scared?
Because it's 13 episodes without Parker Harris.
No, jeez. Seriously.
Yes? It is seriously 13 episodes without Parker Harris.
It is 13 episodes without Parker Harris, but I don't even.
I mean, he's Lightning Man.
He is Lightning Man.
He struck twice.
He is
two Dreamforces in a
Well,
row.
he was Lightning Man, and now he's also the God of Thunder.
I know. I wonder if he gets confused which bolt or hammer to use when.
Well, that's why you have to know your tools.
Do you think he double wields?
I would. I'd be all about the double wielding.
I really want to know if when he came out and someone said, we want to do the whole thunder thing, and someone said, oh, we should use a hammer like Thor, if someone's actually did stop hammer time.
Probably. It's Salesforce.
I really would like that to have been a thing.
Now you have neglected to mention the IQ staff. The staff of IQ.
No, that was a Loki staff.
It looked like a Loki staff.
It looked like a Loki staff.
Yeah.
I was afraid of suddenly turning into Frost.
Or of like Parker reaching out and touching Mark in the heart and he completely shifted.
Yes.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been interesting.
Well, he kind of did.
It did raise his IQ.
A little bit.
A little bit. Couldn't tell. So Mark and I, we're sitting at the keynote, and we're listening to Mark and Parker.
Marker?
Marker. I like that. It's kind of like a celebrity name bash, right? Marker. So Marker, they were up on stage doing the normal thing where Mark Benioff is playing dumb, and Parker is being the smart guy.
Right.
Which we all know Parker is the smart guy. We love you, Parker. Please come on our podcast. Please come on our podcast.
Okay.
And anyways,
disclaimer. General disclaimer.
I realized that the antics between Mark and Parker are too similar to the antics of Mark and I
A little
on
bit.
this podcast.
A little bit. It was a bit odd.
We were mini versions of Mark and Parker.
It was kind of scary.
It's very
Actually.
scary.
Who's
and
who?
I'm actually not sure who's who. If one of us is Mark.
Oh, no,
I
that's
think
easy.
you had to be Mark because of the name.
No.
What are you talking about, Mark?
Okay. Did you read the script you wrote?
I did read the script.
You're
I wrote.
Mark.
No, I'm pretty sure you changed that because it says I'm Brian.
I think
the
if you
script.
looked at the last modified by tag, and it would be under your name, not mine. I think you're the one who did it.
You know, I'm not a technical person, Mark. I just expect you to get things done.
You just write flow.
I just write flow.
That's all?
I just go with the flow with it.
Okay.
So
Speaking of flow,
no, you can't actually point to the guest in a podcast.
I was trying to
version.
get you to follow up.
Well, then you should have been pointing at me, so I know that I should turn to Bill and say we are joined again today by the great product manager of Visual Workflow, Bill Takis.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Bill.
Great to be here.
We're happy to
Such
have
a
you here.
raucous round of applause from the audience.
Yeah,
for
the
Bill.
audience is really pumped up here.
So
Thank you.
pumped.
There you go.
They go
I
to
knew we
bump
should
you
pay
up.
these people ahead of time. I thought you went out with the pennies.
I thought you were going to do that.
I gave you the bag of pennies.
Yeah, but I kept those.
You were supposed to pay the audience members. How are we supposed to actually make it sound like people listen to our podcast live if you don't give out the money?
But I needed to buy a donut.
Fine.
I was hungry.
Priorities.
Fine.
Yeah, priorities.
So, Bill, are we going to see you in some sort of workflow suit, kind of like the lightning suit?
Can't see it in my future.
Not even a safe harbor?
What would that even look like?
Like a flow chart, maybe?
Maybe. You're
Yeah.
walking Vizio.
I like that.
You might see me as an element of some sort.
Which element would you be? If you were any element, which would you be?
Radon came to mind.
I was thinking carbon because you're so well connected.
I meant flow elements.
Oh, I'm not sure.
I think it would have to be whichever element is the starting element.
The start. Well, there you
You
go.
are the starting element
'Cause
to my heart.
Everything comes from you. Wow.
So not true.
You don't know the deep secrets of the wizard art, Bill.
This is, I do. Indeed, I do
I
not.
don't ever want to know the deep secrets of the wizard heart. That sounds like a Sean Connery movie.
Sean Connery?
Sean Connery, the deep secrets of the wizard's heart.
Next on Fox. No? Maybe it's not a Fox movie?
Series, Fox TV.
It's direct to
series.
video.
Direct to video? Straight to Laserdisc. and we just alienated all the millennials in the audience.
Exactly.
They're
We have
"What's-
millennials in the audience?"
What's Laserdisc?
It's like It's like showing them the go to the flow. You got to flow in video.
yeah. Yeah.
Know when to flow.
Everyone keeps telling me I have to put subtitles in there, and I'm like, no one's going to understand what, regardless if they could hear the lyrics.
They're not going to know what the song is.
I tell you, I've never felt so old in my life giving Dreamforce presentations than I have this year. I mean, just in general. And not just with you, Mark. I mean, I have some standard go-to bad jokes.
Okay.
So, for example, whenever I need to have a contact with a phone number,
Yeah.
you know what phone number I use?
8675309.
8675309.
Who doesn't?
Apparently, everyone who's younger than me, which
Oh,
turns out to
that's
be
also the
a
case.
growing.
That's actually not entirely true. I have I know a few millennials, and one of them has like one-hit wonders, and that's one of the songs, and knows all the lyrics too.
Well, I did a demo where it was like I was doing a service case owned by Tommy Two Tones, and the person who's calling in complaining about her phone ringing too much was Jenny, and no one got it. No one. I felt
was
so
her contact
old.
role Jesse's girl?
No, but I should have totally done that.
Nice.
All right, so we're pretty much done with the script at this point.
All right, we're off
Script?
script. It's not good.
We're off script, so we're gonna
I
do.
way-
I have to leave now.
We have to leave now. So we're going to do a few things. First, we're going to be talking a little bit more about flow. So Bill laid on some awesome things about Winter 16 in our last episode.
Yeah. we get some good stuff.
And what we did was we reached out to the folks at Twitter and said, hey, if you got questions for the product manager,
We got answers.
yeah, tweet us.
Ooh, we will try to have it.
Well,
and
yeah.
and
The answer might be, but
I tell
we got
you,
answers.
we got so many questions.
Oh,
we
did you?
got-
That's great.
Oh my goodness, so many.
We got one.
Yeah, we got one.
We got one. You guys are lovely.
People are paying attention to Twitter, clearly.
I think it's more that everyone's gone to your sessions and they know all the answers.
Well, that's true.
That'd be great.
So I'm going to ask this question. Before you answer it, Bill, I'm going to put some color onto it.
All right.
All right. So first, Deek from Twitter, D-E-E-C. That's Deek_NJ. I'm assuming that means New Jersey.
We'll go with that.
We're going. Thank you very much for your Twitter question. He asked, she asked, it asked. I'm not quite sure, so I apologize for the gender question. The person asked.
They asked.
How will we be able to launch auto-launched Flow without custom URL buttons in Lightning?
Oh God!
Now
we go.
I have to. I'm going to add a little bit color to it because I don't know too many use cases where you're going to do an auto-launch Flow with a button. Usually, auto launches is used with like a process builder or something to happen automatically. But you can launch flows.
Yes.
Right from a button, regardless if they're auto launched or they have screens, so there can't be auto launched.
Right, and that's the thing. Yeah, if you are auto-launched from a flow or from anything,
right.
No screens. You can't do screens. No screens.
Lightning Experience, at least in this first iteration with Winter 16 for Sales Cloud, has no custom buttons. They don't exist.
None
at all.
Or links.
And so I actually tried that this morning. I logged into my pre-release org, and I created a hyperlink formula field that would point me to a flow, and I was figuring at the very least, it would kick me out of the Lightning Experience and take me to the old Aloha app.
It doesn't.
It doesn't do anything. It gives me a JavaScript no point to error.
Yep.
It is completely and utterly blocked.
So Safe Harbor, obviously, as you start talking
no
about
Safe
this
Harbor.
Stuff. Oh, no Safe Harbor. So we're working through the infrastructure to enable all these things in Lightning. And sort of our first out of the gate release, it's clearly not supported. However, something we're working on. And it's something that goes across not just Flow, but across Lightning.
And I know I said, oh God, and it's because that's the most asked question I think we've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian wanted to ask it true to the core, and he was basically shut down.
Yeah, you heard. Yeah,
Shauna threatened to kick me.
Yeah, she wouldn't give him the mic.
Yeah.
Shauna actually deprived Brian of the mic.
It
was awesome.
It's complex, and first release, it's something we're aware of and something we've got to work out.
Well, it's a concern for a lot of people. A lot of my customers are actually on Professional Edition, and so they don't get the beauty of Flow
or Process Builder
or a lot of other things that make Salesforce pretty awesome.
Now, let me ask this because I did get asked. I'm sorry, I did get asked this earlier, but I believe you can, if you're on Professional Edition, you can pay extra.
You can
to get access to Flow and Process Builder.
They call it PE Plus.
PE Plus,
and it brings it very, very close to an enterprise level pricing point. So usually it's like you can get PE and then maybe a other component like API or workflow rules.
Right.
All right. So
you get to pick and choose like which parts you want.
To a certain degree. With Professional Edition, a lot of people use URL hacks and custom buttons and custom links
because it's how they can get by.
That's how they get around things. Right, and so there's concerns. Now I know Salesforce. Salesforce will come up with something, but URL hacks are not officially supported. Have never been officially supported, despite what I've begged Shannon Hale to do for years. And she's now laughing in the audience. She used to be the person at Salesforce to debug, and I think she got so tired of listening to me about URL hacks that she decided to leave Salesforce.
Yeah, she's like, I'm sick of Brian. I'm out. I'm out.
There's only one way I can get away from this person. I got to leave Salesforce.
It's not enough, Shannon.
We love you, Shannon.
It's not enough.
Please come back. Please. I promise I would stop talking about URL hacks for a couple minutes.
You still have a moving target. It's Bill and Shelley.
That's true. Hi, Bill and Shelley.
Hello.
So actually, I do have another question because it was something I got asked earlier today, and I'm not certain it's on the roadmap because technically there is a workaround, and that is finish locations, declarative finish locations.
Safe Harbor, it's coming.
Okay, that's basically what I told them.
It's coming. Look,
can you so much Safe Harbor give us a time frame
within the next 2 releases?
Oh,
two
wow,
releases.
wow, that's
so by
soon.
summer 16th.
That's
theoretically
Safe Harbor.
That's our
Safe
target.
Harbor.
That's our target. We have so much customer input on that particular feature that and it's also one of those things that seems like not hard to do. And
it really is.
And you start digging in and it's like, question after question about behavior, but we can do it in Apex or Visual Force today. We need to support it sort of in the product.
I think that's great. I just really wish, Bill, that your compatriot for Process Builder was able to make it today.
Yeah, it's too bad. Oh, what is this?
Well,
Just say that Bill's in a blazer, and I am rocking my Process Builder is my Swiss Army knife T-shirt.
Woo!
today.
That is awesome.
And Brian's in a tie, and it's freaking me out.
true to
I've been
the
in a
core.
tie
I
all
turned
week.
up all casual today.
True to the core.
Oh, Bill's got it on as an undershirt. Excellent.
And yes, my
Superman.
session
He's like,
this morning,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was on. And my session this morning, it
Oh,
was
yeah,
on.
he's going Superman on us. Very nice.
I've got my admin zone
Yeah.
camping
admin
vest.
Are
day.
you wearing spandex and a cape underneath there too, Bill?
As far as you know, I'm not.
I have my Avengers polo on.
Excellent.
I don't think I want to unbutton my shirt.
No,
No
don't.
one wants to see that.
Don't do that.
No.
No. You are not the Khal Drago.
Really?
No.
I'm not a horse lord.
No. I don't think I would ever qualify you in any way to be any part of that.
We got another question.
We do? What?
We just got another
Just
question.
now?
Yes, this is from Chris Bear
Oh,
off
God.
Twitter. And that's
I mean,
Keto Chow.
Thank you, Chris.
Keto Chow.
Yeah.
And he asks, will Flow support localizations, different languages in the user interface?
So we support some today, but not in the way that people expect, right? So as Flow makes the move to Lightning, that will be one of the things that is introduced.
So I can one day have my Flow in Hebrew.
Yes. Well, actually, you can do some of that today.
Cool.
I have actually
Wow.
seen that and done that. So,
Really?
Yeah. You have to switch your browser to support that language, and then we'll support it.
I did not know that.
Wow. Shalom.
That was terrible.
Thank you.
That was absolutely
I came
terrible.
up with that just now.
We are now just removed ourselves from ever having any Jewish sponsors on this podcast.
Shalom.
I'm glad you made the joke because mine was much more worse and offensive.
It was worser.
It was much
It was
worse.
offensiver.
It was
Oh, we got another question off of
Whoa.
Twitter.
Oh, great.
Well, this is awesome, and this is again for Bill. I guess that's because Process Builder is so easy. There are no questions for Shelly.
There is that.
So, Bill, we kind of talked about this last time. How do we bulkify a flow?
Winter 16.
Just get Winter 16.
Seriously?
And all your bulkifications are over. So put
It's
record
already
updates and loops
there?
and everything, and you'll be
So
fine.
we'll add some more color here. So we've gone as far as we can go in the product right now to bulkify, and of course that bulkification. The answer to bulkification is also around how you build your flow and how you kind of put it together. So and it also happens to be based on how much data you're going to work with. So we've done what we can to actually do that. And then Safe Harbor here, the next thing that we look at is sort of how we bring more intelligent ways to handle limits on the platform. Whether it's some type of throttling or some type of async mechanism, where you might work with a really, really, really big data set. Like say you're going to import millions of leads and you have processes connected to all of those. Like how do we cope with that use case? So, it's something that we're actively thinking of.
So it works now. It's bulkified. It's just that at some point there is still a limit.
There's limit. There has to be limits for
Sure.
service protection, right?
And it's going to be
No
affected.
limits.
Yeah.
It's
No
going to be
limits.
affected by how complex your query is.
And so Brian's saying no limits, and that's how we should think. There's no limits. We figure out how to. You don't have to think about them. And be that you get a message that says, "Hey, your process is going to take a while, and it'll be done in a day."
Yeah, like
Yeah.
adding a
Or-
future to it.
Yeah.
I like that idea, Bill, because I don't want to think.
Or it just throttles. Well, it's a point and click. It's a point and click development tool, and you shouldn't have to worry about that stuff, right? And so that's our entry point as product people. Now that's easy to say, super complex to do. So it's not. And if we'd had a great solution for it, we would have had it done. But
I mean, you can't do anything like at future right now in Flow, like Flow itself. Like I don't think the weight can do the equivalent.
No, but you can consume Apex that way, I believe.
Ah,
So
with
you
an at
can
future
write
state.
you can write an at invocable method that Process Builder or Flow can consume, and that can include some future. There's also ways you can also write an Apex class that will actually check your limits.
Oh.
I think that should just be made and standard packaged for everyone, right? How close am I to the limit?
Why don't I just lasso this rainbow down from the sky before you, Brian?
Like I said last time, I have expectations, and I expect them to be met.
And some of them are unrealistic.
Wouldn't be a bad thing to see in a hack or hackathon.
Oh my God!
Here's an Apex class limit checker.
No, I would love to see at some Dreamforce, because we're approaching that point. Like Flow is getting more and more popular every year. Like every Flow and Process Builder session is so completely not sold out, but it's at capacity.
They've been, yes.
So obviously we're getting to the point. I would love to see a Flow hackathon at Dreamforce with prizes.
A
Could
Flowathon?
be. Yes, a Flowathon. Could be in the future. Could be very possibly in the future. Very possibly in the future.
Parker, if you're listening, that means they need more money.
Parker's not listening to us.
I have dreams. Stop crushing my dreams.
That's my job, is to crush your dreams.
Yes,
It's a
but-
little fine glittery powder.
You did fulfill my dream of wearing the Yoda ears. at
I
Dreamforce.
yes, I put on the Yoda ears.
I'm a little disappointed that Bill and Shelley aren't wearing theirs.
They're
Bill's
hot.
got my ears.
I have a sad story.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
My ears are now missing from my Airbnb.
Whoa.
No.
So I'm hopefully, and I thought about this morning because they were on the table, and when I left, they weren't. It's very interesting. So I'm hoping I stuffed them in a bag somewhere.
Curse you, Airbnb.
But you have my ears, too. So both ears are gone. Oh, that's sad.
Oh.
That's Yoda bad.
no.
There was a cleaning
That's
person.
going to make Yoda mad.
There was a
Sad.
cleaning
Yeah.
person that came in, and they might have been
Accidentally moved them.
moved.
Moved.
Because if you
That's
don't know
the
what
underground term for sold on the street, right?
if you don't know what they are, and have no context for Star Wars,
This looks like a weird, dirty sock.
exactly. Why did
Why is
that's
it
sad.
green?
That is sad.
Why
Why
did
is it green and furry?
why did
We
somebody?
got another question.
Oh, good.
And this
This
time
is
it's
great.
for
Oh my
Shelley.
God.
All right.
Oh.
I love this. This is from Carrie McDonald, S-Force Carrie.
Carrie.
Can we get the includes function for multi-pick list filters in Process Builder? Pretty please.
Pretty please.
With sugar on top.
The includes function for Process Builder.
It's there in workflow.
So
Interesting.
my counter question would be, why the
Yeah.
hell are you using multi-pick lists?
Because sometimes you have to use a multi-pick
No.
list.
No.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you do.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do.
I know. I don't want it to be true. I want it to be a lie.
What were you
Yeah.
just telling me about expectations and dreams, Mark? And let's have Shelley answer.
I have a dream that one day.
No,
you
if you're
can
going to
live-
do that, you have to do the impression.
Really?
Yes.
I have a dream
Thank you.
that one day we will not have multi-pick list fields or quick create. That our children will be able to play together without worrying about contacts being created without validation rules. That was probably very offensive. I'm sorry. All right, Shelley, you get to answer now. I'm
so,
sorry.
we almost have full formula support in Flow and in Process Builder. Full parity with the Salesforce formula
It's getting
engine.
there.
Yes. We're working towards it. However, there are some complexities. That one in particular is a little bit difficult. It's on our list. It's
What, multi-pick lists are difficult?
No.
What?
No, nothing about them is difficult. Yeah, this is just one of those areas where we haven't been able to figure out a great solution that makes it very transparent what it does. And so when we come across those places, we work a little harder and a little slower on trying to make sure that when we give you the function, it's apparent what it's going to do, and the behavior wasn't immediately terribly predictable. So that's not a great answer in terms of, yes, I can give that to you soon, but it is what's happening. So it's on our list. We know about it, and it's on a list of kind of hard problems that we're working through, trying to add more power to this thing.
Now,
So,
now my
we
follow-up
hear ya.
question. My follow-up question related, custom settings.
Yeah, same deal. Although
thing.
custom settings, I think we are going to probably get there quicker with custom settings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Custom permissions.
Yes. All that stuff. So there's a lot of complexity all around the user, around settings and roles. That complexity sort of built into those objects themselves.
Do we not have running user yet?
So-
I thought we had running user.
No, we don't have running user.
Oh
You don't
man,
have
I
running
told
user.
somebody a liar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have running user.
I would love
You're
to
gonna have
have
that
the
in Flow.
system.
Yeah.
I want the
Yeah.
Tee it up to
system.
Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we have it in Flow. Yeah.
Yeah, I need the
Bill's
system
working on
context.
it.
The other.
I pass variables. That's how I get it now.
The other thing to remember with a lot of these things too is that when you build a process or a flow, you're actually building a model of a process, and when you execute it, there could be contextual changes that happen at runtime versus design time. So that
Such
actually,
as?
things get evaluated differently based on the data, right?
Mm.
So you might build something and expect a certain behavior, but because of what is resident at build time design time versus runtime, there's a lot of complexity that has to happen around that. And it's not sort of it may not necessarily be sort of a one-to-one, function or sort of parity there. So it's just there's a lot of effort and thought that has to go in when we start to layer these things in. And when we see stuff in Salesforce like pick lists or lists, and we hear that they're special,
they are special.
well, they're like extra special for us.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I keep hearing you two use the same word, complex. It's very complex. There's a lot of complexity. I think we need to come up with a different word for you. Maybe like a keyword that's just all jargon.
Yeah.
Like a safe word?
Yeah, it's a safe word. Yes, we would like to deliver but that is blah, 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 blah.
That's special.
That needs wizard-like powers.
Something
that-
like
that
that.
is
That just
waffles.
sounds really fancy.
That is waffles.
That is just waffle crazy. It's almost banana pants crazy. All right, Twitter's blowing up. I got another
blowing up.
question for
Excellent.
us. All right, now this is actually a flow question, but I think this is applicable for both of you because it involves Lightning experience, and they want to know how much can they expect flow to look like Lightning experience, and the same. I think we should know about Process Builder. How much are we going to expect Process Builder to look like Lightning experience? So, Bill, you want to answer the flow part first?
Spring 16.
Spring
Wow.
16.
Is that even safe
So-
harbor?
We're talking about the
or-
runtime. We're
Okay.
talking about
yeah,
the runtime.
Runtime. So
Flow runtime.
yeah. Thanks for that clarification. Yeah, runtime in Spring 16. That's our target. Also, Flow as a component on Lightning App Builder and Record Home. So that's our current plan. And also, and this is the other question that'll come with this right away, which is, what about my existing flows? I don't want them to run in Lightning because I've done custom styling, or CSS will support that as well. Not sure exactly how we'll do that, but maybe like some kind of URL switch or flag. But that's now as far as the designer goes, this is I've described this in a couple of sessions before, is that we're taking a much more holistic approach to how we're looking at our builders and our builder functionality. We're looking about putting that functionality in context of your workflow, no pun intended. So you're editing a page and you want to add logic to that page. There's ways to do that right from where it's happening, versus having to go to setup and go to a builder, and so that's a very long-term thing I just said, but something that we're actively, it's something we're actively look at, especially you get to, as we're going to rev things like flow from a design standpoint.
Yeah, and I just say for the process builder, in terms of the way the builder works, we're working on an effort to bring all the builders together, meaning that they work consistently in the same way as much as is possible for each of those builders' use cases. They wouldn't all necessarily become one Uber builder, but the idea is that there's consistent look and feel, there's consistent functionality and paradigms, and that the builders all play very nicely with each other, and you can get from one to the other as you're creating things, which is what Bill alluded to. So that's really going to be a kind of a probably silent steel thread going through the next 2 years of releases of just bringing all this stuff together so that it's much more integrated. And because we know you don't just say, hey, now I'm going to build a flow. You're trying to build an app, right? You're trying to build an application. So we're trying to enable that you do that in one place and you don't feel like you have to have 19 tabs open.
I can see this actually as being a possibility, but I recognize the political complexity of having a uniform tool where Process Builder is on the simple tab and Flow is on the advanced tab.
Right.
Like you could do it, but somebody's gonna be unhappy if you built it that way.
I don't know. I think it would be really cool if you could take Process Builder and say, now that I did this basic stuff, click a button, take me to the flow, and then you can do like
That'd be
little
nice.
tiny granularity changes.
That's our goal.
Yeah,
That's
thought about that
that's
a
sort
lot.
of more how we're thinking about it. It's
Convert
there's
to Flow.
Yeah, and there's some waffles
as it
around
were.
it. Is that the word?
Waffles.
Yeah, there's waffles around it, which is why we haven't done it already.
Nice.
complex.
But
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah, that is
absolutely
the idea
waffles.
that you would just say, hey, I need more functionality. hit the advanced button, and that takes you to the raw flow engine or something.
But we've been building the infrastructure to make all this happen, right? So Lightning is componentized. We've got to do that work with our tools, and I mean, it's a great story, right? We've got an awesome platform to build on, and Process Builder is a platform story. It is a product that is built entirely in the Salesforce platform on its UI architecture, and it leverages our transaction engine for process on the platform. So it's, and like with our API, you can start to build a lot of stuff that you've already seen in Flow if you so desire.
So something you said just drop-kicked a neuron in my brain.
That sounds painful.
It more than you realize. And you mentioned componentizing, essentially. And that gave me an idea. I'm going to run this by you. Maybe I'm full of crap. So
but it might be still a good idea.
It might still be, okay. So the idea is that theoretically, you would have to have a developer do this, but you could write a Lightning component with a button on it that could invoke Flow.
True.
Nice. This is possible now.
True.
You could, so Flow can work in Lightning right now, but...
So you can actually get it to work in Lightning right now, and sort of a...
From a button, though, from a button-like interface, from a click.
Yeah, not necessarily from a click.
That's what I mean.
Right, you can create a Visualforce page, and you can add that page to Lightning App Builder right now.
Yeah, make it a component, and then
I mean, we are working on the runtime UI that will run in Lightning everywhere, right? So it'll run on mobile, and
it's a placeholder.
Yeah.
It may not be worth the time.
And you know, it may be that component, when you hit it or open it, it just runs.
Magically.
I mean, you have a component on an account page that's a flow, and when you hit that account page, it starts to execute. And maybe the first thing maybe the first thing that's the first screen the user sees is, do you want to execute this?
Yeah.
And there's a button.
Holy waffles.
Boom.
Holy waffles with syrup on top.
It's waffle-licious.
And strawberries.
And if any breakfast type companies want to sponsor the podcast, please do so.
Please do so, because I'm getting hungry.
Waffles.
Toaster strudel.
Ooh. I haven't had toaster strudel in ages.
All right, so
delightful.
Last time we met, Tuesday, Mark threw out that we were asking you guys a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And that maybe it should be the other way around.
I don't suppose either of you have questions for us.
Yeah, I'm always interested to talk to customers like yourselves and ask you. So you've been here 2 full days now. Day 3's in motion. What have you seen? That's what's like the top 5 things that you've
seen?
Well, for me, it's always hard to pick number one. So
sure.
I'm always interested in and I also worked with somebody a long time ago that was constantly, top 5, give me your top 5. And it's just like burned into my brain.
Okay.
So I mean, what are you seeing that's really, either knocking your socks off, or, things you're looking forward to that you've seen that can be very useful or helpful?
I think for me, a lot of the stuff that's coming is not quite here yet, with Winter 16.
Or fully baked.
So like Lightning Experience, there's a lot of cool things about Lightning Experience, but for many customers, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to make the transition right away.
But it is so very cool.
I think it's a cool starting point. I do love the fact that it can be enabled by the org and then provided per user to be who can use it, and then that user can toggle it on and off at will. I think that was a brilliant idea. So that hits somewhere in my top 5. Everything else is actually kind of stuff that you guys have started sharing. Like, I love I think the slide that you showed yesterday, Shelley, showed a little whirlpool of all the tools kind of like
tool convergence.
The convergence. I'm a little worried that it may create some sort of black hole, thus sucking all the automation into some event horizon.
A black hole of awesome.
But I love that idea that I'm going to have one place potentially to be able to move all the moving pieces together. The bulkification of both Process Builder and Flow in Winter 16, I'm really excited for. I'm a little on the hesitant side, not because I don't think it's going to be awesome, but more because it's going to be difficult for me to know as an admin, if I do X, will I hit the limit or not? Because it is a very complicated issue of depends on what your flow is doing or your process is doing. If your process is calling a flow, if there's Apex involved, how many actual queries are involved and how many records you may be iterating and looping through. Because I think what some people don't realize in Process Builder, when you go to do a field up across a relationship, that requires a lookup. You have to actually look up the record before you can update the record. And
I think it's going to involve a lot of testing from people.
Yeah.
As long as they're prepared to test, right? To get in there and actually try to run 1,000 records, try to run whatever it is they're actually having to do, which is causing, that may cause this problem in the first place.
And it's the surprise factor for people, right? People will go mad about doing process and then find out when they do an update that their update can't update because they just broke their process with data loader.
Yeah, and this is...
Sounds like we need to provide a lot more guidance in that area as much as we can. It's difficult
Guidance
to give
is
a
good.
one-to-one mapping, but we can, I think to your suggestion, Brian, is we can give a series of examples that'll kind of help illustrate what people should look for and the way they should be thinking about it when they're trying to understand, what volume is going to sort of work and what volume is going to hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
So the kind of...
I think that's a great suggestion.
And to tackle that, we've actually got some good documentation coming out in Winter 16 that it takes another pass at sort of explaining how limits work through an example. So
the other kind of... The other kind of... Oh, sorry.
No,
I'm just stepping on you.
No, I mean, the other thing I'll say, too, is, we clearly know this is... We understand the pain that's around this, and we are, as we look at moving flow into Lightning from a build standpoint, carrying stories around testing and, modeling, things like, hey, let me step through this process at design time with this set of data, and what will happen? Oh, yeah. I hit this fast lookup element, and I've blown a limit, and you're able to do that. Without sort of the trial and error that you have to do right now.
And the interesting thing is where this hits Process Builder is that because Process Builder is not visual at all, and it shouldn't be, but if a user does something which hits the limit or hits a validation rule, the user doesn't know what has transpired. There's no, it might, sometimes I think it throws an error. Right? But it doesn't really tell them what it is, right? It's just kind of a...
This record cannot be saved because it failed to launch a flow.
Yeah, in terms of...
Right.
Right. So the runtime of the Process Builder is a silent thing.
Right,
unless it breaks, right?
So being able to pass through certain errors so they'd be more visible to the user, I think would help.
Yeah.
Because right now the admin who created it is the one who gets... created or last modified?
Last modified, I believe, yeah.
Okay, so they're the one who gets the email, and then nobody else knows what's going on.
Right, the user doesn't know what happened. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of work we can do in that area, and we've actually started, Bill's team has actually done a lot of groundwork on that because it's the flow engine of being much more explicit about what's happening. That's the groundwork that's being laid for us to be able to be more explicit and upfront with what's happening with the processes when there is a fail at some point. So that's definitely a challenge.
So apparently we've gone from talking about Brian's favorite things to complaining about more stuff.
I have more questions unless Mark has favorite things.
I
can't imagine that Mark has favorite things.
I have a few of my favorite things. Thank you. Thank you for picking up on the reference. Okay, so I'm quite intrigued by Thunder.
Thunder.
This concept of tracking of individual events on a mass scale in a very fine, granular method at a very high speed. That's very intriguing. I want to. It's a technology that I see, and I know they showed an example at the keynote, but I want to see more. And it's very early. It's new technology, and they haven't really shown what it can do. But I would like to see. I would like to know what is the end of this.
Who should get on your show is Charlie Isaacs.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to get Charlie Isaacs.
You could possibly get Charlie Isaacs on your show.
I would love to see Charlie Isaacs at the keynote. Oh my God, that would be crazy.
I had a chat with Charlie Isaacs, and he blew our minds with about 14 different IoT examples that were just amazing.
We need to get Charlie.
And Shelley has some.
Charlie.
Yeah, Shelley has interesting news on some stuff her team's working on around that too. Right?
Oh.
So we're laying the groundwork right now to be able to receive these Thunder events Thunder being the big sort of funnel that is listening to, billions and thousands
billions of
tons
events.
and tons of events and
Right.
filtering them down using business rules to the single
Right.
or 4 events that you care about. And we're working on a bridge that they could then hand us that event that you care about, and you could hand it to Flow and Process Builder, and then you could do work in Salesforce based on that event that did not happen in Salesforce. It happened outside in the world, in Twitter land or your proprietary database or on your printer that's running low of ink.
Or all the wearables
All
that
the
you might
above.
have.
Or the wearables, sure.
The wearables.
Yes. So
Or
laying the
beacons,
pipes for
or
that one.
beacons you might have in your store.
Exactly. Sorry, I hear beacons. I think of Minecraft. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
You're such a nerd.
not those kind of.
What?
I thought the same thing.
What else did we see that was awesome? Thunder is very intriguing. I mean, all the cool stuff we've been talking about. Lightning again. I'm kind of like Brian. I want to see the end. I want to see
Mark
where
is
it's going.
thunderstruck.
I am thunderstruck.
Shelley had a question.
I do have a question.
Okay, go for it.
I want to hear one big thing and one small thing that would radically change how you work, that would help you do something either you can't do or something that's still so stupidly hard it shouldn't be that stupidly hard.
So
like really big impact.
I'm
What
going
would do it?
to do a process builder example,
Go
and this
for it.
kind of goes with the demo that we built for your session, Shelley.
Yeah.
That if I create a record in Process Builder, I can't do anything with that ID. So I have
Again.
to either chain processes together or some other method. I like launch a flow that does an update that then goes do things. I would love to be able to query a record or create the record, grab the ID, and then pass that to the next action.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to be able to, that record you just created, you want to be able to submit it for approval automatically. You want to be able to hand it around and operate on it in the process.
Without having a
Yes.
separate process
Without
on
having
that
a separate
object.
process. And right now you have a
Yeah.
separate process. That would make a massive difference.
It would make it easier from my standpoint because, like, right now, that's in 2 different processes.
Right.
One
Right.
that's on the object that is creating the record, and the other one on the record itself that's being created.
Yes.
And from you are going to have your entire process in one area type thing that breaks down back to workflow rules
Yep.
in that situation. The simple thing.
It's hard to tell what's the simple thing and what's
Yeah,
the big
that's
thing
true. That's
because
true.
sometimes things that look small
Right.
I don't
are
know
not.
how big the
So
waffle
that's simple
is.
in flow. What's waffles about that is that we need to make sure that
Oh my
we keep
God.
that concept. You started it.
Oh my God.
You know, that we need to keep that concept transparent and simple for people in the builder who haven't used Flow and may never use Flow, because Process Builder, we're trying to make this really, really accessible. And so, assuming I can keep that simple, which I think we can, we already have some ideas about how to do that. So I think that's sort of only medium. It's
I got
not
one.
that complex.
I
or
got one.
waffles.
Now, this probably may not be you. This might be a lightning thing.
Go ahead.
I'm on View All Process. I need to review a whole bunch of different processes. I can't right-click and open up the processes in a new tab. It gives me that funky little
God.
error
Yeah,
message.
yeah.
Just
New
doing
tab.
something that simple. Because
That's
right now I have to go duplicate,
I think
duplicate,
that's a lightning
duplicate,
thing.
duplicate,
That's a
click,
lightning
click,
thing.
click,
I
click.
think-
Didn't
they
they
are-
answer? Didn't they answer to
Let's
true
just
to
say
form?
they
I
are
think they
addressing
did,
that.
and yeah.
They are addressing
That's
that.
that's
And
sooner than
it's-
later.
Yeah.
And
Safe
we will
harbor,
inherit
safe
that,
harbor.
Yeah.
and then life will make more sense.
Yeah. I mean, so we understand this, right, at Salesforce. Like, that's workflow. You know, I need to open a tab. So, it's not and that's a very common behavior. So it's a problem we have to solve sooner rather than later, to the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. Small
Mark?
thing, large thing.
Yeah.
Large thing, I can tell you what my large thing is. And I'm assuming this is not just
It
Flow
doesn't
and
have
Process
to,
Builder.
It doesn't have to be
it doesn't have
around
to be
Flow or
the
Process
product,
Builder,
yeah,
just
absolutely.
in general.
All right. My large thing, and this is this is what inspired what we did in our session, and that's voice actions. To be able to tell my computer,
Cool.
please create me a custom object called quote line items.
But Mark, we did that.
Yeah,
No,
but-
create a custom object.
Oh, actually
I'm talking
creating the
metadata.
metadata.
Metadata actions with
Metadata
voice.
actions.
So
Go to the project object page.
I think you can do that now.
No.
Yes. Josh Burke over in the IoT area has created this cool thing with the Amazon Alexis
I have one
controlling
of those.
Salesforce.
What?
Yes.
Nice. this.
Yeah, now he was doing it to
Come back,
show.
Mark. Come back.
That just blew the hat off.
It
of
blew
Mark's
the
head.
hat off. Blew my
Those
mind.
poor ears.
Blew his ears
So,
off.
so if you haven't seen the demo yet, for the people who are only kind of somewhat
I am
listening as they're
totally
sitting
going over
down
there
in the
when
only
we're done.
chairs in the Moscone West Center, over there in the dev zone, they have an IoT section where Josh Burke can go give voice commands to Alexis to go open up records, edit records, modify
Alexa.
records.
It's Alexa.
Alexa.
Thank you.
And
That's cool.
it's going by API, so I should see no reason why you couldn't code it to
Oh my
also
God, oh
do
my God, oh my
metadata
God,
creation.
Oh my God. Okay, so that's great. Now it probably can't do like navigation. Like I would love to see both.
Yes,
he
it
can.
can.
He can take me to the projects page.
Yes.
Object.
Open up this
Ah.
case. Update.
Yeah, it should be
Update
able
to
do
this. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go in there when we're done because that was my big thing. But I would love to see it where you don't have to have an object for it. And the problem is that there's no. I've looked, and if anybody knows of anything, please correct me. There are no Chrome extensions, no Firefox extensions. There's nothing where you can program in a voice command to like go to this bookmark. Right? I can't.
don't know.
I can't find a thing.
They use things like Dragon for that.
But Dragon
was
doesn't
gonna-
do that either.
Yeah, I was gonna.
All it does is text capture.
That was my thing. Is like, doesn't Dragon do that stuff?
Maybe. Maybe I should be looking at accessibility tools.
Well, voice recognition is tough itself, but there are some accessibility tools out there.
You
that
know,
do
there's
it.
a lot of people working on that, right?
Yeah,
have
and
been-
that's the thing.
Have been
For
for
years.
a long time.
Well,
Well,
look at what
earlier
Google's
it was
doing.
all earlier. It was all that problem was all related to compute power.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of compute cycles to basically process voice. You know, to identify it and figure it out.
But now they're cloud
but you look
offloading
at,
it.
But you look at, look how prevalent it is now, right?
Yeah.
You
With
know,
it-
most smartphones have it.
to some degree.
And I've heard I have not experienced, but I've heard the Alexa capability is pretty mind-blowing.
It is. It's quite impressive. I've enjoyed mine.
Like listening to your conversation and
The problem is it does like
I
think
need-
we're talking to it sometimes. We're like, no, Alexa, we weren't talking to you.
But anyway, sort of bring it back. There's, as we progress, it's a clear path that the voice interface will become more and more prevalent, and it
Sure.
will become better.
Yeah,
in
and
terms of
they'll start to imply things like what Google now uses with the
All right.
with the contextual,
I-
where you can say, no, move that to the left.
You know, Mark, if you're going to go so far as saying voice recognition is the big thing, and we're going to do that, screw that. Let's go direct neural interfacing.
Yeah, hell, well, yes.
All
That's
right.
fine.
So what's your
I'm
small
gonna
thing?
move objects around with my
that,
mind.
That is actually called embeddables,
Embeddable.
not
That sounds
wearables.
painful.
Embeddables.
I
was
did-
at a talk last night on IoT, and they were talking about there are companies they're currently experimenting with patches.
Oh.
Oh.
That is a sensor.
But
And
it's
it
like
can-
subdermal, isn't it? It's under the skin.
But could you have someone else's brain? Like, could I have Yoda's brain?
Tattoos were mentioned. Hey, your brain has a network. Why not? Why not?
Network my brain.
Just saying.
Brain book,
Brain book.
I like it.
a network of brain.
I'm
A
not.
network of
I'm
brains.
not
A bunch of
sure. I'm not sure
morons.
as a collective set as humanity we're ready for that type of networking.
Oh, probably not. We won't be ready for it when it comes out either.
No.
We're not gonna be ready.
All right. So what's your small thing,
What's
Mark?
my small thing? I gotta say my small thing, and we've already talked about it. My small thing is being able to properly handle lookups in Flow. Yeah, that's really like you have no idea how
You're-
much
you're-
Flow I can't do.
Yeah, you're talking about a screen element that you can add that has that functionality. baked
Sure,
in.
that can actually
So-
like
and it's basically
type ahead
it's replicating a lookup. So the type ahead stuff was mentioned at
at the true to core.
True to Core, and we haven't explored exactly how all that's going to work. But we want to assimilate or consume that functionality in our tools.
Yeah. And here's where the challenge. Okay, I'm going to take that one step further, because one of the biggest requests I have from my company in terms of flows is not just the proper lookup, but proper lookup with other contextual information. So in other
Yes.
words, because what I do right now, what I have to do is I will make a formula field on the object, and it will say the name, it will say the price, it will say the status, it will say the start date, but it will all be one block of line of text. And then I'll put that in a dynamic choice so they can choose which one it is. But the problem is that's not ordered, right? It's all just bunched up text. So the ability to have a table of information and choose from from checkboxes or from radio buttons based on a table of information.
Right.
That would be a small thing that would actually blow my company's mind.
Cool.
Next release, Bill?
Not next release.
I had to try.
You're a jerk.
All right. So I'm going to ask you a couple of...
Well, maybe they have more questions.
Oh, yeah. Do you have more questions?
I don't.
Shelley? Any? Got any more? Okay, you realize it's an audio format, so just
Yeah, I
looking
know.
puzzled doesn't work. Okay, so I'm
We
gonna,
did spring this on them 2 days ago.
I'm going to ask a couple of questions to you. This just general, okay? So everyone knows that the two big honchos out there when it comes to Keynote is Parker and Mark.
Oh boy.
Who's your preference, Parker or Mark?
What? You're asking them that?
Well, they can lie. They can say both. I mean, we got Parker already being chanted out. I mean, he's a popular guy in that
Wow.
lightning suit.
It's hard because I've actually met Parker. I've never actually met Mark. So I can say I've met Parker. Great conversation.
There's your answer right there.
Awesome.
I mean,
Big fan.
You know, Parker's definitely bringing along the technical side of the company in terms of sort of, how we're thinking, how we're building, and how we're leading. And, Mark's definitely putting it out there in terms of the company's culture and its soul. And, of course, Parker has a huge role to play in all of that. But, just Mark's sort of philanthropic endeavors are pretty inspiring to me
That's pretty
personally.
awesome.
Good answer.
Good
Good
answer.
answer.
See, I told you it was
like
safe
Family
to ask
Feud.
Salesforce employees that question. Okay, so if
And it's a team, too, right? I mean, we're a team. The company is a team. We don't get stuff done by individuals.
that's true.
That's true.
And there are a
Very
lot of
true.
people that work really hard to get certain things done in certain releases, but it's not going to function unless it all works together. So you have to have all those parts to
The
make it go.
sheer amount, like they were talking about this is true to the core, the sheer amount of stuff that Parker is responsible for
It's huge.
in the past year.
huge.
Gigantic.
It's insane.
All right,
Anyway, at True to Core last year, Parker stood up and said, we're going to deliver a new interface.
and he did.
And we did it.
Yeah.
And it's working.
I didn't think it would
Are
be
there-
by Dreamforce.
Are there,
No.
are there things we still have to continue to iterate on?
Sure.
You bet. But that's
That's
huge,
the platform and whole.
That's
You're
a
always
huge endeavor.
iterating.
And more importantly, Aloha's still there and still works. There are plenty
Yeah.
of software companies out there today or cloud-based companies who would just say, yep, you're done with the old one, here's a new one,
Yeah.
everybody's moving.
And they don't care about release parity. They just yank it and you're tough. Out of luck.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
back to sort of the Salesforce commercial, we listen to our customers. We say we're the customer success platform. Well, guess what? We're successful because we
We
follow
should get
that
Salesforce
mantra.
to sponsor our podcast.
These guys are in charge of two of the most influencing products right now, and they're talking to us. Us. We're
not
just weird
worthy.
people who put on costumes.
That's so not true.
We like your hats.
Yeah. All right. So as people who listen to our podcast, and all 3 people. Hi, Mom. We know that.
Did you just
I
wave to
relate.
somebody in the audience and say hi, Mom?
No, no,
Okay.
that was just shut up.
Okay.
Anyways, you know that we kind of have the standing joke that we've had so many episodes without Parker Harris because Parker Harris has never been on our podcast,
No.
and we hope to one day have Parker Harris on our podcast.
Yes.
So
Is that like Jimmy Kimmel and Matt Damon?
I don't understand the reference. So if we got Parker Harris to
You're
come on our
s-
podcast, what question would you want us to ask Parker?
Wow.
And if you can't tell us recorded, you can write it down, and then we'll ask them anonymously so you don't get in trouble.
If you have to
later.
write it down, though, we're probably not going to ask.
I think there's always one thing to ask a leader like that, which is what's keeping him awake at night.
Ooh.
Caffeine?
What? No, I'm serious.
No,
Like,
no, no,
what,
no, like-
what does he wake up in the middle of the night and go, and like jump on his email?
Does he
or-
sleep?
Sure. How long? I don't know. But but those are always really good, really good questions. I also think, you don't hear often as a leader like that sort of things that are, really working for you as a contributor and things that aren't. And that's so I'm fairly new to Salesforce. It's one of the great things about the culture is that feedback is solicited all the time and it's actioned on. So, and I think that comes through in our products. But back to your point, that's always a great question to ask. Is like, what's keeping you up at night? What are your, I'll use top 5 again. What are your top 5 challenges? What do you think your top 5 successes are?
I'll go the flip side of that. So Parker's been at this a really long time, and they've been very, very successful. And he's still going. He's still finding incredibly interesting things to do and challenges. And I'm assuming that's what keeps him going. But I'd love to hear from him, like, wow, what keeps you going?
Caffeine.
Well, besides that, I mean, what keeps you interested? What excites you about what you're doing? What still fires you up?
That's good.
That's very good.
I like him.
I like this idea of
Thank you
asking
for helping us do our job.
Yes, asking audience members what we should ask so we don't have to.
Right.
Because thinking is hard.
Are you
That
taking
goes
notes?
back to you not wanting to think, right?
That's right.
There you go.
Hey,
This
we're
wizard had
admins.
constrained my brain.
You
blood
guys
flow.
saw Salesforce IQ, right?
Yeah. We need a staff.
There you go.
Well, we
It
need.
can be your staff.
I might need many staffs.
I need an
It can
assistant.
be many.
I just want to say it's Admin Day. Don't
It is Admin
dare
Day.
Happy Admin Day.
No.
It's
I
admin
was
day.
saying.
Admins,
I wasn't be
man.
dissing admins. I'm an admin. I was saying that we're admins, therefore we are devoting our mental cycles to so many other things
Right.
that trying to come up with this stuff is like, I don't have the brain power for that.
I do have to say, I'm not surprised if your brains are exhausted from all the incredible workarounds you are able to come up with.
That's not far from the
stunning.
truth.
I'm blown away by that.
It's
amazing.
workarounds.
Admins, I like bow down to the workarounds that admins come up with.
Because the business has requirements, and sometimes those requirements are, I need to have the ability to create a contact here. I need to have the ability to create a contact here, and they have to pre-populate this with this, and then it has to fire this if the situation is like this. And it's this, like, they don't give me
ping-pong
requirements.
game, yeah.
They tell me how to do my job. No, you give me the requirements. I will figure out the best way to do the job. And if I can't do it exactly the way you want because I would need Visualforce to do that, well, sorry?
Yeah.
You'll have to wait until our developer has some free time? So, sorry, little complaint there. I'm done now.
You know what, Mark? It's almost time.
It is almost. Wait, time for what?
Well, it's 1:27. We go to 1:30.
Your watch is still
You're a
in.
little
You're
off
in
the
Central
time
Time.
zone thing
You're in
there.
the
Am I?
wrong
I'm
time.
sorry.
Don't do that to me. We've
11
got a hands-on training at 1:30. Don't do that.
11:27.
Please,
Oh my God.
please teleport back to Pacific Daylight Time.
My phone is on
Mr.
Pacific
Wizard.
Daylight Time. My laptop is not. So yes, subtract 2 hours from my
Yes,
previous
okay.
statement.
I have done already.
So that does mean it's
We
time
gotta
to
wrap.
close out.
Nine.
And I want to thank personally everyone out on Twitter who had asked their question.
Yes, thank you very much.
We love that this actually worked out really, really well. We asked every Twitter question that we could get out there, including people like Pete Fife. So thank you very much for the question, Pete. I don't think I said thank you. You'll have to listen to the podcast now recorded. Sorry, Pete. You didn't make it up here in time. But I also want to thank Shelly and Bill for coming here
Yes,
again.
thank you very much.
Thanks
Two
for having us.
episodes in
Thank
a
you.
row.
Thank
You
you.
are the most repeated guest that we've had ever. But now it's time to go, which means we have to do the outro, Mark.
What happened to
me
the
pull up the
segment that should not be named?
We didn't have time for the segment, which have not been named, because you guys brought too much good stuff.
Just asking.
Yeah,
I look forward to it in every cast.
awesome. See, I told you people would like that segment. Anyways,
boy.
gotta take a deep breath. WizardCast is produced by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, directed by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, technical administration by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, script writing by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, audio editing by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, website maintenance by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, lame parlor tricks by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, and our intern this episode is everyone at Dreamforce.
Woo! Only one mistake. Nice. Well done.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for our Pepsi and water.
Yeah. Send us your interview suggestions, jokes, videos, tips, and feedback to wizardcast@thewizardnews.com or head over to thewizardnews.com and click Contact WizardCast.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WizardCast on iTunes and Stitcher and receive our next episode automagically.
That's 2 errors.
We'll edit it out later.
No, we won't.
That's true. None of this is being edited.
Nope.
Nope, sadly. Once again, I'm Brian.
And I'm Mark.
Thanks for listening.